So welcome to the latest episode of the DJ Knowledge Crate podcast with myself, Jay Cunningham from On The Rise DJ Academy.
And myself, Terry, Atomic Hooligan from the On The Rise DJ Academy. Wow, that was a bit of a mouthful.
And with us today, we've got a very special guest. We have got Martin Dockree, who's the country manager for UK and Ireland for Pioneer DJ. Martin, welcome to the show.
Well, thank you. It's nice to be here. I'm a big fan.
Thanks, mate.
Oh,
It's like Top Gear, but instead of talking about cars, you're talking about DJ equipment. It's
exactly,
brilliant.
yeah.
Love it.
Yeah.
Well, that's why we started it. We couldn't find, there was a big void of people, actually chatting in a little bit more detail about tech stuff. And so we thought, no, let's just fill it.
Yeah.
Do it ourselves.
And you do look like a slightly smaller Jeremy Clarkson, Jay.
All right, well, I don't know what that makes you. Maybe you're the...
I'm James May.
Okay, fair
Ball James May.
Oh, right. Oh, great. Well, that makes me the little dude. I can't remember his name now.
Or you could be the driver. What was the
one who
driver's
crashed
name?
it,
Yeah, you're the Stig.
I'm the Stig.
Yeah,
There we
yeah.
go. Yeah, I'm happy with that. I'll put my crash helmet on.
All right, so there's plenty to talk about. Obviously, you're Pioneer, global domineers of the DJ booth and home install. But let's just find out a little bit more about yourself. Just give us a little bit more background about, where you came from sort of career-wise. Because obviously you've been at Pioneer DJ for how long now?
17 years.
Wow.
Actually, yeah, 17 years this month. Actually, now you asked the question. Yeah,
Wow.
13th of Feb I started. 17
Cool, that was
years
only
ago.
2 years before I was born.
Just
Wow.
to show how old I am. Yeah. I think you're being a bit generous towards yourself there, Terry, to be fair. I started 17 years ago. I'd always had a background in sales. So, I mean, at the time, I was working for a company called Maxell. I don't know if you remember them, Japanese company that made audio and videotape and batteries and stuff like that.
God,
Yeah.
it was the adverts.
That's
That
right,
was
the
the
guy
very
sitting in
famous
the
advert in the
chair,
chair,
that's
yes.
right,
There's so many of my old mixtapes knocking around on Maxell tapes.
That's it, yeah, definitely. And at the time, it was blank CD media was a big thing. So I had experience working in sales management, sales rep. Looking after a dealer network for a Japanese company. But more importantly, the real exciting stuff is that I was a DJ myself. So I was very much. Started off in being into Northern Soul in my teenage years, which kind of progressed onto Rare Soul, Rare Groove, and then 80s Street Soul, and then suddenly that became hip hop, and then all of a sudden, halfway through one night at the Mud Club in about 1986, Acid House started to be played. And then,
So you're there right from the beginning then?
Right
Nice.
from the beginning.
Good work.
But yeah, I think it all started to get really big for me. So I was doing the soul DJing, but it got really big for me kind of early 90s. So I was in my early 20s. There you go. There's a little bit of a giveaway on the age. When the whole house and garage scene really blew up properly. In London and the rest of the UK, so it was moving out of the illegal warehouse parties. There'd been the Freedom Act that was going on at the time, so everything started to move into proper licensed clubs, and the Ministry of Sound had just opened its doors at the time, and I had a few residencies, nothing major. I'm not going to make out I was some big DJ from the 90s because I wasn't really. It was more of a hobby at the time. But one of my favourite gigs was at the Goose and Firkin in Elephant and Castle, which basically started at 8 o'clock on Sunday morning.
Wow!
And it was just across the road from the Ministry of Sound, so people would come out of the Ministry of Sound. And their first stop was to the Goose and Firkin, and
nice.
they were up for it.
The party had not ended.
Definitely hadn't for them. And I think that was the beginning of the whole Sunday scene thing, which then evolved into the UK garage scene and so on and so forth. And while I was doing that DJing, I was also doing the sales job, and then I saw an advert in the back of the Grocer magazine. So this was back in the day where there weren't monster.co.uk or LinkedIn or anything like that. Literally jobs were advertised in the back of a magazine, and it was for Pioneer at the time, because it wasn't Pioneer DJ then, but Pioneer. They were looking for somebody to activate a sales channel to sell their DJ products in. So they're looking for someone with genuine DJ experience, but also a background in sales, working for a Japanese company. I thought,
You were made for this
me.
job.
Tick, there we go.
Tick. That ticks a lot of boxes.
I applied, and the rest is history. And basically, the job as it stands today, country manager, Sounds quite glamorous. Sounds like I've got a little bit more power than I have actually. But I manage the distribution channel, the retail side of things. So I'm responsible for achievement of the sales target within the country. So I do a lot of forecasting with dealers, a lot of boring stuff. But then the exciting side of it is I'm also selling the product. So you do get a lot of hands-on. You also give a lot of insight to the product planners about what's selling well, what's not doing well, what competitors' products are out there that we really should be focusing on in terms of growth in market sectors. And I've got a team of a couple of guys. One of them, Sam, who I think is coming on next week.
Yeah, Sam Shepherd. Yeah, he's in.
Yeah.
He's in.
Yeah.
Well, we'll get
for our live stream next week. Yeah.
Yep, showcasing the new DDJ 1000. Yeah, so we're very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, no, absolutely, and he will do a sterling job. And he's covering the whole country at the moment temporarily, but he's going to be focusing on the north and Ireland, and we're getting a new guy to cover the south. And they've got the really sexy job. They are product trainers, effectively. They're making sure that all the retailers and people like yourselves on the Rise and other DJ academies that are out there are using the product and showing it off to its best abilities and explaining all the features and the benefits, and really educating the market sector to make sure we're not just selling the product, it's being sold by people who can give a proper explanation and demonstration and support to that product after the customers bought it.
Because I think that's hugely important now. Obviously, if we look at where the DJ market is now for equipment, it's very much kind of software driven as well as the hardware, and it's not just like a turntable. All right, there's the on button that makes it faster and slower. There's a hell of a lot more to it now. So I imagine it's a very invaluable role to ensure people know what it is that the products are doing.
Yeah, I mean, Sam, I've seen Sam knocking about like all the big events over the last kind of 6 months or so, I think it is, and he's very passionate about it and kind of and really knows his kit. And I think for someone in that position for a company such as yours, they really need to know like deep down the bits of kit.
Oh, absolutely. For that sort of role, you've got to know what you're doing with it. You've got to understand why that particular button is there and what benefit that particular feature brings to the DJ. And the only way you're going to know that is being a passionate DJ yourself. Even for my role, I think even now it's still important that I've had that background in DJing. It's not just spreadsheets and graphs. Yeah. You've got to have a gut feeling for how you as a DJ are going to fully appreciate and utilise that product and why you should be picking that product over that product.
Exactly,
It really does help with
It's the practical experience of actually like going out and playing a set in a club and understanding why that certain things are on these controllers or CDJs or mixers and how you use them, but why you use them as well. Yeah. I mean, I remember years ago I did a demonstration kind of thing for Technics, and it was at the time of like kind of switching over with Technics. I think they're part of Panasonic, I think it was.
That's right, yeah.
And the managing director, the guy who basically dealt with sales in Europe and stuff, come from the bread maker part of the company, and I had to explain to him what a pitch control was on a turntable. So, and this is taking nothing away from Technics. They're just a very big company with a product they didn't really know very much about. So I think it's really nice to see that the guys that you've got out there and working for the company actually really do know about the product and are DJs. I think that's very important.
Oh yeah, no, we absolutely do, and it's quite interesting to use that Technics example because the Technics 1210 was never actually brought out as a DJ turntable.
No.
It just so happened it had this pitch control feature that enabled the speeding up and the slowing down of the track, when really it was intended exactly as it says for the pitch of the voice to sound like the original recording effectively. But of course DJs realised you could speed it up, slow it down, and hence beat match mixing was born. Well, it wasn't born because people were doing it before pitch control, but it suddenly gave them an easy way or an easier way of doing that. But I remember when I first started at Pioneer, when I was visiting the retailers, they used to say, but we have the Panasonic rep round, and he's wanting us to take Hoovers and stereos and TV sets and everything else. That's not our bag, you know. Yeah. But they didn't. I don't think even in their heyday they fully understood the potential of the DJ marketplace. And I think if they had, maybe they'd still be heavily into it now, and there would have been a whole range of products from Technics, but it never happened.
We were discussing this a little while back. Obviously, the new, I think it was the GR came out about a year ago. That was like $4,500. Then there was a more kind of DJ friendly or a DJ priced friendly version that came out just before Christmas. But that was still £1,500, and there's still like a lot
of money for a record player.
It is, and Terry and I discussed this.
I don't think it's DJ kit.
They're aimed at the AV guys, the enthusiasts at home. They still don't have a lot of the features. If you look at the stuff like the PLX 1000s, a lot of the other stuff, there's, you can plus or minus 8, 16, 50%. Some have got torque adjustments, some have got brake control on there. These are all features that are definitely very much kind of DJ driven, and the demand is out there for it. And the Technics just didn't have it, and it's again, I think just compounds that these aren't turntables for DJs. No. They just happen to be amazing for 3 decades in the DJ booth that survive the test of time. But thankfully now we've got plenty of turntables out to choose from. Terry and I have got a pair of 12. Well, he's got 1200s, I've got 1210s, and they're both 20 plus years old. And we finally bit the bullet and got some new ones.
And I'm not just saying it because you're here, but the PLX 1000s. I mean, they've got to be my favourite piece of kit. And I've said this on the podcast before. They've got to be my favourite piece of DJ kit for the last 10 years or so. They're just they're just so solid.
We'll stick that in the next brochure.
Yeah, please do. Yeah.
Do you know what? I think the key thing for me, because I still do quite a lot of vinyl shows for my podcast. There really is no real feel difference between the 1210s and the PLX 1000s. There's been no kind of relearning. Yeah. I've just instantly gravitated straight towards them. If anything, actually, I found them easier and better and more fun to use.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun. I know we were talking about this before we went on air, actually, but when we introduced the PLX 1000, which I think was around about 3 years ago, I hadn't actually touched a vinyl turntable for years. Yeah. Absolute years. I just got so used to working in the digital world when I was DJing. So I got my post-production PLX 1000 sample, and I took it home, went up to the loft, dusted off the old record collection. I thought, okay, well, let's give this a go. And I forgot just how satisfying it is to put your hand on that big heavy platter, feel the resistance, feel the size, and then do that wooka cue scratching in your headphones. And I thought,
this is the ultimate control,
and
isn't
it? And you're right, it felt just like using a Technics 1210, and and it all came back to me. And there's also a great deal of satisfaction wrestling with the pitch control, touching the side of the turntable or tweaking the middle part to speed it up. You're really wrestling with the beat to try and keep the beat match going. Yeah. It's a lot of work, but it's also a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's also a lot of fun. I think like you say, that riding the pitch and riding the platter and stuff like that, there's no other experience like it when it comes to DJing. It's very, very satisfying.
Out of interest, what are you using? Are you still DJing out now, doing any occasional parties?
Yeah, I do. The most recent one being my daughter's 18th.
Nice,
congratulations.
Exactly, but no, it was a really good gig. I do. I do the occasional one, not very often. It's normally for friends or family or business associates in the DJ world. But generally I use an XTJ RX2. I would use the Nexus 2, but if it's me taking the product to wherever I'm playing, and rather than having 3 big heavy boxes, I'm just taking one unit. Yeah. It does everything I need to
laptop.
do. It's got the effects I need to use. I don't have to use a laptop. I can turn up with the USB stick. And it's just got everything there that I need it to do, and I can record the set directly onto USB stick as well out of the other input. It's nice to have the Nexus 2, but it's kind of surplus to the requirements for the kind of thing that I'm doing.
I mean, I've been DJing like in a hip hop group on and off for years for a friend of mine, and I get looked down on a little bit when I turn up with it, but I turn up with the RB quite a lot, because obviously, like in the hip hop scene, you need a pair of turntables and a scratch mixer and stuff like that. But we could potentially end up in a library or a bloody bookshop or anywhere in the world. So just turning up with that RB and my computer and just being able to go bang bang into the back of the mixer and bang play is nothing like it at all. Yeah. So when you play out, if you were to play out your perfect set, what kind of style of music would it be? Would it be Northern Soul? Would it be Rare Groove?
Oh, God, yeah. Well, I love Northern Soul. I really do.
Yeah.
But I think the age range that are into Northern Soul now, some of them are probably in old people's homes. So
we get quite a few students to hear that. Yeah,
right.
like learning to play Northern Soul on vinyl.
Okay, so just regardless of audiences, then I think my perfect set would be a little bit of two-tone ska to start the night with, transitioning into a bit of Northern Soul with a bit of late 70s, early 80s jazz funk. Then a bit of loose ends, bit of mid 80s street soul, and then you get into the late 80s and early 90s garage and house club classics.
That sounds like
and
a very
bring it right up to date with all this latest revival of deep house in inverted commas.
My 41st birthday's coming up. Where can I book you? Should I just go direct or
speak to my agent? No, I'd love to do it, Terry. Love to do it. You let me know the details.
I will do.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so let's get down to some kit. So obviously the latest product you guys have got out, the DDJ 1000, has been very well received.
It's a big hit.
There's some pretty obvious reasons, but from yourself, what was the kind of sort of thought process behind the controller? A couple of huge standout bits. One mainly was the full-size platter, and also the digital display, which has been a big thing for me. I was using Tractor at one point with an S4, very small wheels, certainly relative in comparison. And when they brought out the S5 and the S8, I actually moved away and started using record box instead because I've just missed that kind of tactileness. And then obviously this next evolution with the DDJ 1000, they're even bigger. I mean, what's the kind of sort of thought process from Pioneer DJ behind them?
Right, well, we've had, for quite a few years now, we've had two ranges of controllers. One of them is the DDJ S range, which is aimed at the Serato user, and the other one is the DDJ R range, which is aimed at the record box user. The only difference really between them is the software. If you were to look at the hardware at a glance, you're really looking at the same product.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's really giving people a clear choice on as to what unit they wanted to buy, whether they want to go down the Serato path or the record box path. So I think with the DDJ 1000, we wanted to break the mould of the traditional laptop software controller. And we listened to what DJs wanted. They want proper CDJ jog wheels. And I'm not just talking about the size of the jog wheels, I'm talking about the technology. It's pressure sensitive, it's touch sensitive rather than the magnetic. So you really are getting that true CDJ experience. So we also put the tension adjustment on there as well. So for the first time ever in a controller, you've got the full CDJ jog wheel experience, not just size but feel as well. And we were thinking, what else can we give them as part of that hardware experience? We thought, right, okay, it's a 4-channel mixer, but let's put the effects as hardware effects in the actual mixer part themselves. So you've still got the effects on the software, but they're actually being generated from the hardware, which means you're putting less processing power on your laptop. And we're also thinking that, if the laptop DJ is getting that hardware experience, then when they play in the club, they're going to be on familiar ground, and also they might then want to actually start going down the whole standalone route. So we're giving them a stepping stone, if you like, from controllerism into the whole record box CDJ world.
I mean, that was the first thing that I thought when I saw, as well as the RX2 as well, like when I saw the 1000, that it just looks like the perfect home studio setup that you can then prepare yourself to go off and play, like physically, with the size of the platters, the mixer, the effects and all that kind of stuff, that you can go into a club installation and feel very comfortable on it.
And I think we've had a wide variety of students here that want all different kinds. Some of them just want to DJ in their bedroom, they don't really have any aspirations to be in clubs or festivals, and some that do. And I've always said to people, I've always kind of really admired the Pioneer DJ range of kit, because it's actually been very clever, really smartly marketed in how it works. Depending on your budget and your need, there is actually a controller or piece of equipment there that will facilitate what you want, and then give you stepping stones, further down the line when you've got that. And the RX and the RX2, have been huge winners for me, for anyone that wants to ultimately end up DJing a club, but doesn't have, $4,000 to $6,000 to spend on the XDJ or the Nexus 2 range. But for 1,500 quid, you can actually get something that the layout is going to be very familiar. So that transition between what you're doing at home and stepping into that club is going to be very minimal, which obviously, you know, for DJs first starting out, as well as the kind of technical challenges that you've got, the fact that you've never DJed in front of a crowd, you know, there's many things that can be on your mind. At least if you can take one element of that away, you know, that can be a huge benefit to the new DJs out there getting out there in the clubs.
Yeah, definitely. I think, you know, obviously the DDJ 1000 kind of comes hot on the heels of the XDJ RX2.
Yeah.
And what we intended with the XDJ RX2 was to give the home and mobile user a taste of what they're going to be using in the club without having to lay out the $6,000 or whatever else. But that's fine because that's a standalone unit. So what about the laptop controller users? So that's really what we had in mind for the DDJ 1000. So if you're standalone, you've got your RX2. If you want to use your laptop, you've got the DDJ 1000. But both of them are giving you a taster and give you the familiarity of what you're going to use when you actually get into the proper club DJ booth and you start using the Nexus 2 range.
And that's a big thing. We're actually going to do a review of the two side by side, and you know, just certainly to highlight the difference, because I think there's been some confusion. I think most people see a new controller and go, "Oh, great! I could just plug a USB in," but you know, there's a very good reason as to why you can or can't. So
I think the thing that's kind of gonna like kind of push the 1000 away from everything else really is the price of it. Like when I saw it, I couldn't believe for what you get, especially in the mixer section, the actual price of it. It's brilliant. I think it's an absolutely great thing for our students for their next step up after maybe like an RB or something like that, to then look at the 1000. I think
absolutely. Yeah. It's a logical step. If you've bought an RB or even an RR, that is your next product.
Yeah.
And yeah, you're right. It's a very good price for the unit.
Just for the mixer alone.
Yeah,
like
it's not often people say that about our stuff. In this case, they certainly are. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's the same with the RB. You know, as I say, like probably 4 out of 5 students that come through here, new students, new DJs will end up buying that. It's just, you know, because of how much it is, and you know, they'll get a 10% discount through djkit.com.
Ding ding.
Then they get got the wrong retailer.
There you go. And then
other DJ retailers are available.
Of course.
Of course. But they'll also
go to our website, see the dealer locator.
They'll also get 99 quid's worth of Rekordbox software. So you know, there's definitely some great value products in there. You don't have to be spending the thousands. So let's move on to Rekordbox software. So obviously it's been around for a long, long time as a preparation tool for DJs to be able to organise, prepare, beat grid and get their music into playlists onto a USB stick to walk into a club and have instant access to a lot of very cool features that they can perform within the club. And then Rekordbox DJ came along. So you give us a little bit of kind of sort of history and thoughts behind the evolution of Rekordbox.
Well, yeah, I mean, when we first launched the CDJ 2000 Nexus and the CDJ 900, the main selling feature on those, or the main marketing pitch we had, was that your USB stick is your new Rekordbox or your new CD wallet. So, we'd had vinyl that we talked about. Then CD came along with the CDJ 1000 and all the 3 versions we had of that. But what we wanted to do with the CDJ 2000 and the CDJ 900 was to move the market forward. We also had laptop controllers at that time, and that was quite a big thing. But we even wanted to move it beyond the laptop, because certain big name DJs were having problems where the laptop was crashing with whatever software they were running midway through the set.
Yeah.
So we wanted to offer something different. But that was it, essentially. We wanted the new Rekordbox to be the USB stick. But we needed to introduce a software that enabled you to easily find the thousands of tracks that you might have on that USB device. So that's really what Rekordbox in its original conception was all about. It was about easy music management for the tracks on the USB device. Because we had the CDJ 400 before that, which you could also play off USB stick, but it was just normal MP3 files that you were searching for, and it was really clunky trying to navigate the content on that key.
Yeah.
So Rekordbox was designed to make sense of that content, easy navigation of your USB device. So it enabled you to arrange your tracks in playlists and genre. You could color code whatever you wanted it to be. You could colour code the genre, colour code the artist, label, whatever. You could see the album artwork when you were scrolling through. And of course, you know, the CDJ 900 and 2000 had a screen built in, so you didn't need your laptop to see all that detail and information. It was right there in front of you without you having to look at the laptop. So it's quite a groundbreaking software, and it hasn't really been rivaled fully yet. I mean, there are other, you know, music management softwares out there, but I think we were so ahead of the curve. We've made so much development on it. We really know where the pitfalls are, and we've kind of counted them.
I think one of the big things with Rekordbox is actually the ability to use it as a music management organisational tool.
Yeah.
You know, the fact that you've got the tags, you've got the moods, you've got the colours, you've got all these different ways of being able to group the music together, which we teach a lot here. It's more important every day to, you know, no one wants to go up to do a gig with just 12 tunes, you know, and on the other end of the spectrum, you don't want to go with a playlist with 5,000 tunes. You know, you need to find that happy medium. But on top of that, you know, you turn up and, you know, they want to play like a vocal garage set, and all of a sudden, you know, it's full of a load of guys and you need to dig a little bit deeper, more bass heavy stuff. You know, you don't want to be flitting through there. So to be able to tag that different kind of mood and to customize those as well. You know, I think,
and that's absolutely right. You know, and that's part of the way of how it's evolved now. You know, and even we you know, we're now on the third generation of CDJ 2000. We're on the Nexus 2. So there was the 2000 Nexus. Now we're on the 2000 Nexus 2. And on the Nexus 2, we added those track filter buttons to give you a bit of hardware searchability over those functions within the Rekordbox software itself.
And the related key stuff as well, and to be able to filter out by, you know, relative key or by, you know, ratings or whatever it may be. It certainly means that, you know, for those that aren't maybe that organised or looking for a little bit of inspiration outside of a playlist, you've got it there at a touch of a few buttons.
I think it's great as well, because obviously there's like when it comes to DJing and like just kind of the whole idea of like kind of dance music and stuff, there's some very like hard and fast rules about what genre something is, what speed something is, and blah blah blah. But we teach people that their system has to make sense to them and no one else, because they're the ones looking at the screen. They're the ones. So the colours, moods, and stuff like that really resonates with like how we show people to do it. So it's like from that angle, it's quite a cool. Well, it's a very cool program for DJs just to be able to create completely their own sets and not have to like kind of go by beatport genres and stuff like that.
No, absolutely right. And so we had Rekordbox. We were also started making controllers for Serato and Traktor at the time, which were. You know, which were other companies.
The T1, wasn't it?
Yeah,
the
that's
DDJ
right.
T1.
DDJ T1. You know, and that was great. But it made us realise that there was another marketplace out there that we really needed to be in. And at that point, the product planners. Props to Rick and Rob, by the way. Yeah. Employed by me, of course, but there you go.
Obviously.
They've managed to stand up on their own.
Bless them. Yeah, they've got their own way now. Yeah. So you know, we realised that we needed to develop and evolve Rekordbox into Rekordbox DJ as a performance software. So you know, rather than it just being straight out music management, you could actually start to perform and mix within the software itself, and then the range of DDJ-R controllers was also born out of that, and it became very popular because you know you didn't have to have lots of different libraries anymore. So you know, if you were using Serato, for example, with your controller, that's your library in Serato. But then if you were playing in the club, you start then using your Rekordbox library, and you've got to export it onto USB stick and so on and so forth. With Rekordbox DJ, it meant you could just work from that one central Rekordbox library, you know, and it kind of makes sense, and it's grown very popular very quickly. We've got a lot of users out there now.
I think, you know, the big thing for me for Rekordbox is the updates and fixes come thick and fast. You know, so there's obviously a great team of people that are actually listening to what isn't working, adding new features to it, and having it evolve into what it is today. And I think that's really important. You know, obviously, as the Rekordbox DJ performance side being relatively new compared to what's out there, for me now it's definitely, you know, way up right at the top, you know, because there's
yeah.
been such that regular update and consciousness of how it's kind of evolved, pushing it forward and squashing any bugs. You know, every 2-3 weeks, you know, it feels like there's something that's coming in that's, you know, adding new features, helping fine tune something and get it right. And that's, you know, obviously extremely important for something that's a performance tool, you know, in a live environment.
Yeah, definitely. We like to listen to our customers. You know, we listen to the feedback, and you know, we make modifications and improvements as frequently as we can. Not as frequently as some people would like, but you know, we are listening. Some things are quicker to fix than others, but you know, it's evolved to the point now where it's a really stable, solid piece of software that does everything that most people want it to do, and certainly, you know, it stands up there against the traditional market softwares that are out there.
Do you find that obviously as a global company, each market can be slightly different in their desires and wants and needs? You find there kind of sort of challenges in trying to pushing stuff and saying, well, actually for this market, you know, this is important because European guys really want to do this and the US guys or whatever. Do you find that kind of a bit of a battle sometimes?
Yeah. I mean, very much in the old days, in particular, you know, because America was a real battle market. It was very much hip hop, R&B, you know, house. Although house music came from America, ironically, it wasn't. It certainly wasn't in the mainstream up until very recently. When you know when the whole EDM thing blew up, that's when America really started to get into house and techno properly in it, and it became a big mainstream thing. So there's a lot of synergy now between what the American market wants and what the European market wants. But before that, it was there were very different priorities in the marketplaces as to what they wanted on a product. You know, for us, as you know, we love the battle market over here, and it blows my mind looking at the Red Bull freestyle competition and the level of skills and the things these guys can do. But it's still, in Europe, it remains a very small niche marketplace. You know, it's never going to be mass market. I'm not going to say never say never. It could grow, and I hope it does. It grows to be really big. But at the moment, you know, looking at the market sizes and you know what's selling well, it is still very small and very niche. Whereas you know it was a bit of a flip back in the old days because America had that massive battle market and they couldn't understand how we were selling so many sort of, you know, CDJs and DJMs as we were. But it's a global marketplace now. You know, there's a lot of people in the world, and the world's getting a smaller place. There's a lot of similarity.
So some of the new things that have come in with Rekordbox is the lighting mode and the lyrics.
Yes.
So you want to tell us a little bit about that? Yeah.
Okay. So these are modifications very much aimed at the mobile DJ. Lyrics does what it says on the tin. Really, it works from a library. You get a subscription. And for the life of me, I can't think who the
as soon as we hit stop and record, you'll remember it.
yeah, exactly. But basically,
link in the comments.
But basically, it will put the lyrics of the song up on the screen with some sort of animation in the background. It's a bit like karaoke, but the only difference is you don't have the bouncing ball going across or the letters coming up in colours. It's literally just, you know, it's an additional visual effect that gives you the lyrics on screen. You can use it as karaoke if you want, but I think you need to rely on the fact that the singer probably should know the words already. But it's more of a, you know, if you're in a bar or whatever and they've got a lot of screens in there, it's quite good to have the lyrics flash up on screen. And it's proved very popular. When I first heard about the concept, I was a little bit mystified about it, but it's going down really well.
Good to hear.
And Rekordbox lighting, it's quite simple. It's a really simple way of using your Rekordbox library to create lighting effects. So you would connect your Rekordbox DJ laptop to the RB DMX1 DMX box that we've developed, and basically what it does is it looks at the waveform and the beat grid of the track, and it automates your light show to correspond. So it'll recognise in your multicoloured Rekordbox waveform, you know, where the different emotions are of the track, and it makes your lighting behave accordingly.
Wow.
Now, you know, that's not unique. There are other products out there that will do that, but generally you have to program them. It won't do it automatically. Rekordbox, because of the way it works, it can send that information to the DMX box, which will make your lights behave accordingly without you having to do any pre-programming.
Yeah.
You can customize them. You can customize them to behave in a certain way using the Recordbox DJ software, but you don't need to. And I've seen it on the automatic setting, and it really works. It really works well.
I mean, like you say, I can. For that mobile DJ world where, you really do need to be this one-man show that can kind of cater for everything, a lot of them being pulled in to be the compares for weddings and what have you, but to be able to facilitate not only an audible, amazing show, but to provide visuals on a screen and lighting as well. I mean, that I can see how appealing that would be to keep that one man show, really, really kind of running. Yeah,
I mean, we've got so much respect for the wedding DJs. They've really evolved into a proper profession now.
Yeah,
and I think the expectation for a lot of high-end weddings now is that they're going to get the X factor, in terms of production value and whatever else. So I think, with Recordbox lighting, I'd like to think that we're helping the mobile DJ achieve that a little bit more easier than they could
without having to hire someone to come in and do that.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, like you say, long gone are the sort of traffic lights and the little smoke machine under the desk.
I had all that.
I mean, mobile DJs and wedding DJs nowadays are like the front line of the DJ world quite a lot of the time. Like we have so many students through here that do weddings, do mobile kind of stuff, and they're very much up on their tech. They're very much up on their it's not the traditional idea of like kind of the mobile DJ, like you say, with the traffic lights and like the kind of their name in glitter at the front of the thing. It's not that anymore at all.
No, absolutely. It's a lot of it is built on reputation.
Yeah.
And you're not going to grow that reputation playing on cheap, crappy equipment that's going to break down halfway through someone's wedding reception.
Exactly. Yeah.
And in the days of social media, if you start getting that sort of feedback left, then you're pretty much out of business. So for the mobile DJs now, it's really important. The equipment to them is really important.
Yeah.
And we listen a lot to what they've got to say in terms of what they want on a product, and very much the DDJ 1000 and the XGJ RX2, they're built on a lot of feedback from the working wedding DJs. It's bread and butter stuff. Your students coming through, I'm sure they are all aspiring underground club DJs, but in the meantime you've got to pay the bills. So doing friends parties and wedding receptions, really it's a no-brainer. It's easy money.
Well, some of them are actually
easy money. Sorry, no, it's not easy money at all. No. But
some
you know
of them,
what I mean.
some of them are career wedding DJs and absolutely love what they do. I mean, they might not necessarily love all the music, but like you say, there's two different worlds, but there's definitely a meeting between those worlds, and I think a lot of that comes with the tech.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, so there's another pretty exciting product, a lot smaller compared to what Pioneer normally brings out, but the DJM app, the recording app.
Very exciting.
iPhone. I downloaded it a couple of weeks ago. I can't remember where I saw it. Installed it, plugged it into our DJM 900 Nexus, and hit record, and it worked. And I was like, this is genius.
Yeah.
Why has no one come up with this before?
Well, I thought exactly the same thing when I saw it. Why has no one done this before?
And what's happening right at this moment in time?
Yeah, we are actually recording this podcast on it. But then I was even more blown away that you can also live stream with it, YouTube, Facebook. I can't remember, there's a couple of others on there as well.
YouPorn.
And the whole thing with this was that when we first started doing our live streams, the technology wasn't quite there, so I was just doing it via the phone. And because we've got a sound treated room and I was having it really loud, it sounded okay. I mean, I listen back to it now compared to what we do now, it's rubbish. But there was, you're getting all those clicks and stuff, and there was always that real need to just get a proper line audio input into your phone. And now it's there.
Yeah.
I genuinely can't believe how easy it is to use as well.
No. Yeah.
It's and it's only a tenner.
Yeah,
that was it.
Not bad, is
I was
it?
well happy.
You can't buy any recording device for as little as that.
Well, I was looking at a few of them, and they start off around sort of 79, 80 quid, and I thought, okay, this could be handy. You going for a gig or wherever, and you want to record it and stick up on SoundCloud wherever, or so even just to kind of record sets is great, but to give them the ability to actually live stream and stuff.
Yeah,
win-win.
I mean, it's a real solution as well for recording your mixes at home. Like you say, if you're looking at a recorder, best part of 50 to 100 quid to actually get something and a lot of people just don't know how to do it apart from on their laptop. So it's a great solution for that.
Yeah, and the audio quality of the recordings is really good as well. That's one thing that I noticed, and it's got a feature. This is it. I'm on the spot now because I'm going to talk about a feature and I can't actually remember what it's called. and I tell you what, I always want to call it the Sonic Maximizer because back in the day, we used to have a mixer called the DJ M5000. So that must have been kind of like early 2000s. Well, it was when MP3 and MP3 downloading was a new thing. Yeah. And what you found was people were downloading. They weren't aware that you needed to get 320, to get a decent quality recording. They were downloading
128,
128, or ripping off YouTube and all the things that we now know you really shouldn't be doing.
You'd be surprised people are still doing it.
No, it's true. But this Sonic Maximizer feature, you used to it was a pot, and you used to turn it round, and where you were playing your really good MP3 recording and you were mixing in the next track, which was a really bad one, you just turned the dial on this Sonic Maximizer, and it kind of filled in the missing frequencies.
Wow.
It was amazing. I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it meant that when you went from that track to that track, you didn't really notice much degradation in sound. But the DJM rec, it does that. It will equalize the tracks that you're mixing in to give you to optimize every bit of the audio in that recording.
Because you can literally edit everything on the fly, and I think you can upload it to like Mixcloud, SoundCloud, also send it straight to your Dropbox. I mean, it's got everything.
It's a social media world out there.
We like it.
But we want to be putting stuff out there that the kids get and understand, and we want to be in that world.
Speaking of things that were on older mixers, one of the things we have to say we're huge fans of is Jet. The Jet coming back.
We're going to do the impression again.
Big fans of Jet because they were on the, I can't remember, it was the old 500s or 100s, and you activated it and then you span it back. You span it back, and it did. You choose either of the effects, and 1 out of 5 times that I did it, I'd always not quite hit the button and end up either slowing it down or speeding up. So now,
because it was before vinyl mode as well, so just go
Big fans of Jet. Very happy about that.
That's right. Yeah, it first appeared on the old DJ M500, which I'm late 90s, I think, something like that. Yeah. And then it came on the 100S, which was the silver CD player. That's right. Yeah. No, it's an old favourite, and there's a new version of it on the on the DDJ 1000. Which is really cool.
And then Mobius Saw, there's a few new ones to play around with.
Mobius Sawtooth, which listen out for this next time you use it. I've got a sample for you here, so you can play around with it. But you know catchphrase when they press the buzzer and you get that.
Sam was just like that. It's like a never-ending rising or lowering kind of tone, isn't it?
Yeah, it does it, and it will do it like a beat effect, so it'll act within the parameter that you've set. So you get the whichever way you're cutting the loop up, and it will just work in tandem. It's really cool effect. But the first time I heard it, straight away I was just thinking of catchphrase and that.
I might be able to finally dump my rave horn sample then.
Oh, I don't think nothing will beat that.
No, true. No. Sorry, Ray Vaughan, I still love you.
Maybe the gunshot. I don't know, but no.
Well, explosions, gunshots, Mobius Saw.
This reminds me of Westwood.
Mobius Saw is the new. The new foghorn.
All right, so we want to take a bit more of a broader view now of. We were saying earlier that we do this interview called DJ Tech Evolution. It's really just to get a little bit of thought from someone about how DJ technology just generally has evolved from, obviously being 2 turntables for decades to what it is now. I mean, how... Obviously, there's been quite a huge growth of it, but for you, how has that kind of evolution evolved for you?
How's it evolved? Well, I mean, it's been mainly through the digital revolution, I suppose, and it comes back to what I was saying before. Rekordbox was key for us as the USB stick being the new media for DJs to play with. But at the end of the day, it's still 2 decks and a mixer. And even when you've got a setup that involves 4 decks and a mixer and you've got your 4 channels, most DJs are still playing from A to B. You can do it much more creatively now with all the digital extras, but it's still even with the basic products like the We Go 4 down at the beginning of the range, it is 2 turntables and a mixer, but in a very small shell.
Yeah.
The only thing that's really changed is the media and what you can do with it.
Yeah.
Obviously, you couldn't create loops on a vinyl turntable, but you can do that in the digital world. Things like hot cues. So there's a lot of benefits that have come along that you can add on into the mix, if you like, when you're transitioning from track A to track B.
Well, it's that thing, that non-linear approach to DJing. You're not at the mercy of a needle anymore. If you want to live remix something or jump from one hot cue to another or loop a specific point, the creative options now are just so broad for people. And I start looking. I've been looking at DJ equipment now more as a musical instrument rather than just a CD player, which obviously historically it came through, because there's so much more you can do it from, affecting it to chopping it around and jumping all over the place.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And and something that we always try to do is to add that extra layer of creativity, but make it very, very easy to use. So more and more, even with the Tourize SP16 and the DJS 1000. We're introducing production values there and production techniques, but we've tried to make it with the DJ in mind, and we've tried to make it as intuitive as possible. And I think we've really achieved that, particularly with the DJS 1000, because you've got the pitch control there, you've got the cue and play buttons in the same place. The only thing is there's no jog wheel now. There's a series of pads for for triggering, and then you've got your sequencer down the front, and it is really easy to use. I'm not a producer at all, but even I managed to start creating some drum patterns and adding a bass line over the top and putting some effects on it. So I think that's definitely the way it's going in terms of evolution. But at the end of the day, you've got to think about the audience. The audience are there to dance, and they want to hear something familiar that they know. They don't necessarily want to hear it torn to bits and rearranged and a drum pattern put over from another track on that. At the end of the day, for the main working DJ in the high street club or the wedding reception, it is mixing from track A to track B. But there's space everywhere. I mean, for us in terms of growth, we're pretty strong in the DJ market sector. So we now want to explore the production world. We've also got the pro audio side of things, so our XPRS range of powered speakers and the XY Club speakers. So we're very much looking at those areas for us to grow into now as a business, while still maintaining the
which sounds great. So it's fully kitted out down at Work Bar, isn't it?
That's
in
right.
Islington.
Yeah,
very nice setup.
Room 2 Fabric is full Pioneer Pro Audio XY sound system. We've just introduced our big XY3 system, which is kind of like a 3-way box that we showcased at the what's the festival that Fabric did in London? I can't think of the name of the festival now. Sorry about that. Getting old, you see, getting old. But
link in the comments.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Please, dial in and prompt me somebody. But yeah, we've brought that out. We've just the Lazy Lizard, which is a club up in Manchester, a new underground dance music club there. They've been kitted out with the XY3 system, and it's it's kind of like taking on that Function One style marketplace.
Yeah.
Then on the production side of things, we've got the Tourize range. So we've got the SP16, which is very much a sampler sequencer. Very easy to use and produced in conjunction with Dave Smith. So for the musical instrument world, they love Dave Smith. He invented the synthesizer more or less. So we've got his name on it, and we've got his filters on it, which are very very hands-on, very easy to use, very familiar for DJs in terms of their operation. And then the AS1, which is a monosynth. Again, in conjunction with Dave Smith, and we've got the synth heads really excited about that. So they are areas that we're not in at the moment, that we're really looking to grow into and innovate.
Well, the DJ and production world, they've been very close for many, many years. Even more so, right now. So to facilitate that in a hardware solution, makes sense.
Yeah, No, absolutely.
If it's not for you, there's plenty of other kit out there to choose from.
Oh, there is. Yeah, the production world, it's awash with very well established brands. With
I meant for like CDJs. Like if you're not interested in being the DJ producer crossover, there's still plenty of DJ gear out there to keep you busy.
Absolutely, there sure is.
All right. So the last podcast we did was very heavily focused on the sync or not to sync debate. Obviously, always a hot topic.
Mm-hmm.
Just interested to get your thoughts on the sync feature, and do you use it? Do you not use it? What are your general thoughts on it?
Yeah, I use it. You've got to bear in mind, I was DJing long before the sync feature was added. But I like it because I like to use effects and I like to use loops while I'm actually in the transition of a mix. And it's very hard to do that if you are pitch bending and trying to keep two tracks in time with one another whilst, trying to use your fingers to press the loop buttons and trigger an effect and so on and so forth. So the sync feature is brilliant for that. It just automates the beat matching side of things, which frees up your time to get really, really creative in the mix and make that mix sound a little bit more professional. Not everybody agrees with that. There's a lot of sync haters out there. And I suppose it's a fair comment. You've not DJed properly if you use a sync button. Well, people can learn without it. You can switch it on or you can switch it off. If you don't like it, don't use it. If you want to use it, use it. But all I would say, and you probably teach this in your DJ courses, it's always good to give people a taste of actually beat match mixing without using the sync button. And I think it makes them appreciate it even more. And makes them realise the possibilities of how much more they can do while they're in the mix if they use the sync button.
No, 100%. I think it's a great tool. If you know how to beat match, the sync feature can give you a lot more time and space to be able to be more creative. And I think personally that's very important now, especially for newer DJs coming through. You do need to be able to stand out. I'm not saying every new DJ should use sync. It needs to be used in the right kind of context, but finding those different kind of creative outlets as a DJ to make yourself stand above everyone else, find which way you can to use it. If it means using the sync, great. If it doesn't, fair play,
Yeah, but it's also like we discussed this on the last podcast as well. It's also like a smaller part of the bigger beat gridding family. Like if you're not beat gridding your music and you're a digital DJ, then you're missing out.
Yeah.
But you're missing out because you're missing out on all those BPM effects, all the looping, the being able to jump to loops using quantize and stuff like that. So it's just one small little step more to go to syncing, because you're basically like we said a couple of times, if you're using any of this digital DJ kit and you've got the BPM readout there in front of you and everything's beat gridded properly, it's a matter of just going boop like that. And you've synced the tracks anyway manually, so it's not a big issue for us. But like you say, we always teach people to DJ manually with their ears, to mix manually with their ears, and so on and so forth. And then we leave the phone on while the podcast is going.
Is that tea ready? Is it, Jay?
Nothing happened.
That's all right. My diatribe was going nowhere anyway, so yeah.
Okay, so look, we're going to finish up now. I know obviously you can't talk specifics about what's coming up for Pioneer DJ, but I am interested to find out, what's the kind of ethos and thought behind, where Pioneer DJing, heading for future advancement.
Yeah, I mean, really, that's down to the marketplace. In this day and age of social media, we're constantly being bombarded with requests of what people would like to see on future products and what type of products they want. So we'll keep on listening and we'll keep on developing. Quite a good way of swerving.
Yeah, there you go. Nice.
Nice.
Too specific.
Nice.
But I mean, if you look at the DDJ 1000, that we've tried to break the mold of a traditional laptop controller there, and it's proved very popular. So it would be it would be foolish of us not to look at that and maybe go down that path. But this year it's actually going to be a very quiet year for new products. We launched an awful lot last year.
I was going to say towards the end of last year was I think there was like 5 things in 2 weeks that had kind of come out. So obviously it's been a very busy year for you guys last year.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So this year's a little bit. There are new products coming, but nowhere near the frequency and the rate that they were last year. And I think what we really want to concentrate now is looking at the areas where we don't have product, where like I said, production and areas like that, and pro audio where we're not particularly strong, and there is a marketplace for us to grow into.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So we normally do a little tech tips section on the podcast, and I wanted to see if you could contribute your little technical tip or just general DJ tips.
Well, you talk a lot about preparation and planning of your set, so I'm not. That would be the obvious thing for me to say, because that's what Rekordbox preparation is all about. So I'm not going to talk about that. I'm going to go proper old school. And my favourite combination of effects is to use the filter and the echo. So the filter colour effect.
Yeah.
So this is going back to the DJM 800, where we introduced the colour effects for the first time, which are a rotary pot like a filter. But there are different effects you can assign to it. But I really liked it because I could use the filter in combination with the echo, which is in the beat effects section. And that's the same now. We then had the DJM 900. We're now on DJM 900 Nexus 2, and that feature has followed through. But there's a lot of fun to be had, and you can really get the crowd going. Where if you've got the breakdown and the drop, if you're then building up to that, using the filter in conjunction with an echo, normally on the third of a beat effect, and you get that real sort of like build up
kind
and
of feel.
And it's really easy. It's really simple. It's old school. People have been doing it for ages now. But that's one of my favourite things to do.
That's nice. If you use that in combination with like the kind of the post fader effect as well, so bringing the fader down and just letting that echo come out. So like kind of like our favourite effect with the echo out on the. But you using it, I actually do that quite a lot with the echo and the filter, like the sound colour filter and the beat echo, but also in combination with the fader as well. So we're taking that out and then bringing that back in on beat, and it depends what kind of how you've got your echo set, but that's a really 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 effective effect.
That's so easy to use.
I mean, I've been using that actually. Fun enough, I'll get like a little vocal loop. So one track's playing, on the other deck I've got a vocal loop, and similar again, using the filter and the echo, just teasing little bits of that vocal, and you can choose which bits of the vocal you want to bring in and have echoed out, and then you can choose the resonance or how much you're going to filter out of it, so you can actually really tease in quite nicely.
You can almost get like a wah-wah effect on what you're bringing in, and then dropping it out, and you've got the decay of the echo.
The echo. That's it. Just sort of like flicking the filter, so you're getting the bass suddenly come in and then taking it back down again, and it's echoing out, and then you just got the high end of the track playing. It can be used to really good effect. You can really build the anticipation of the drop. And get the audience going.
And that's a good one as well, because you can use that across pretty much anything. You can use that on vinyl all the way up to like kind of the latest digital kit.
And all different genres as well. Top tip, mate. Thank you very much.
Nice.
I like that.
You're welcome.
All right. Okay, well, that's it for this podcast. DJ Knowledge Crate, do like and review if you like what you hear. Subscribe to us. We've got plenty more coming over the next year. Very special guest, Martin Dockree from Pioneer DJ. Thank you very much for coming in.
That's right.
And we'll catch you guys on the next one.
I didn't do a jingle this one. Hold on.
Knock yourself out.
Hold on. If
No
you
pressure.
like what you hear, we're here all year. The DJ Knowledge Podcast.
Jet effect.
Get me out of here.